Welcome to the It Crowd podcast. My name is Josh Lowrey. We are coming to you live from the Daniel Energy Partners Thrive Energy Conference at Daikin Stadium. I am joined, as usual, with the co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Richard Rodriguez. How are you, sir?
You know, it's challenging with you this morning, a little bit to get going, but day two here at Thrive, which is always great. But yeah, let's get it together.
Listen, I always tell people my 85% is most people's 110. So I will be together, dude. This is day 3, by the way.
Technically it is, yes.
Yeah, this is day 3, and it's been a phenomenal energy conference. We are, if you need to watch us, find us on social media. We are on the VIP suite level. There's 55 suites. They're all packed, and we are kind of in the midway zone in this open area. And what's cool about this, we're going to introduce our guest here in a minute, but what's cool about this is the first time we've ever set up this podcast studio like this. And the reason that we did this was on the heels of an event we threw in Abu Dhabi called the Global Energy Soiree. And our partner there is AIQ,
yes,
which is, we're going to get into how great they are. So the soiree was so great, and the partner AIQ was phenomenal to work with. And they said, hey, we want to come be a part of Thrive. And when they said that, we said, you know, how can we make this special for them, special for us? So we reconfigured the podcast studio to include AIQ's AI zone. And then there's, I mean, if you look at it, you can't see this on camera, this whole little like hangout area. And then there's this podcast studio. This has been the place to be for 3 days.
3 days.
So for 3 days, we've run, 10 shows a day constantly. And there's been, right now, the show's kind of ending here in a little bit, but there's been no less than 50, 60 people live action. So we've been in front of a live studio audience for 3 straight days. And now I'm going to introduce our guest here. But the reason that this happened is because our great friend in business and our partner here is Dennis Jol, CEO of AIQ, flew here, and you have less sleep than we do. You're jet lagged, but Dennis Jol, CEO of AIQ, welcome to the It Crowd podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for including us to this Thrive conference. It's the first time we've been here, and it's incredible. And, although we've had a lot of fun in the different suites, but being out here and in the public and being able to be introduced to a lot of the folks that don't know who we are,
right,
has been a great place to be.
Well, again, I bring up the soiree, and this is just an extension of really your mindset. You guys, there's a mindset in the Middle East, and really Dubai, Abu Dhabi, that is, I hate to go back to the whole, if you build it, they will come. But there is a mindset of like, go do something great, and we'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, being a part of the UAE ecosystem has been a really incredible thing. As you guys know, I come from the energy sector. I did not come from the tech sector. But what the UAE is doing right now, we're pioneering what we call the intelligence grid. It starts off with the US, UAE, Stargate, data centers that we're creating over there, together with a sovereign cloud with an applied intelligence layer that has focuses around energy, around health, around cybersecurity, around just consumer products. And we as AIQ sit on that applied intelligence layer. We're a joint venture between ADNOC and G42. And we're tackling problems and creating AI solutions for the energy sector. And in that case, we've done over 200 different use cases. We've productized 14 of them. We're out there now, trying to export that technology that we create in the UAE internationally, and U.S. is one of our target markets.
So before we get into that, which is what we're going to talk about, I think it's important that the audience understands who you are. Like you said, you're really from the oil and gas energy industry first, then into technology. And that's an important distinction. That you understand what you're trying to do on both sides. So you don't have to. Give a little bit of the background of where you spent the last 20 years doing it. How did you get this experience to understand what problems are we going to go try to solve with this technology?
Well, I got really fortunate, right? I went to school at Purdue University. Ended up getting my job at National Oil at the time. Mm-hmm. That was when Pete Miller took over the helm of just recently of National Oil. We went through an acquisitive streak where we actually had a very laser-focused strategy around being the one neck to choke when it comes to the drilling industry. We had a significant strategy and executed it really well. So I spent quite some time in that world on the distribution side. We were successful in 2014, spinning off Distribution Now from the National Oilwell Varco conglomerate, and then spent the last 10 years developing that internationally. So, understanding that the industry needs solutions, whether it was pipe valves and fittings, whether it was drilling equipment, that they're looking for solutions that either save the money or make some money, and transforms the industry, I think was a great place to get an education. And now whether it's AI or safety glasses, or whether it was pipes, I think that quality and total cost of ownership and saving a customer money or making them money was the key that everyone was looking for.
Well, thank you for that explanation. That is a great way to kind of bring us to the point where there's history here, there's solutions, and all of a sudden this thing called AI pops up. And by the way, you guys have been doing this longer than people think.
Yep.
This is not just yesterday.
Yep. No, we started in 2020. ADNOC, it started off as a bold vision to transform the industry. Our mandate was to make the industry a far more productive, far more efficient, far more sustainable, far more safe environment. And I think that we also believe in this twin engines of human progress, right? AI and energy, the intersection of the two. I think that as as AI continues to accelerate the way that it is, the more energy we're going to need, and we're not the energy for AI. I think that's clear that we're going to need more energy for AI, but we're the AI for energy, which is actually taking that AI and making our energy systems far more efficient so that we can actually power it.
Go ahead, if you have a question.
No.
All right, so really what's interesting is we obviously spend a lot of time in the Middle East right now because it's just an electric place to do business. I mean, it feels like you're in the future. There's no other, in my opinion, there's no other market that's as, I hate to use the word electric, but just active as the Middle East. But because of the ownership of companies, the holistic view on certain things is really unique. And when you say it's AI for energy and energy for AI, you guys are, I mean, the way that they view AI holistically, you're talking about healthcare, you're talking about all aspects of people's lives. And I feel sometimes here, the narrative is, I use it for my email. You know what I mean? I don't mean to be, but like the average CEO oftentimes doesn't really apply it down the line like it should be. Am I wrong on that?
No. I mean, and I think that's where that's what separates AIQ, because not just on the ADNOC side, but for the vision that the kingdom has, right, and how they're going to do it. Because you're right, if you look at it now, I mean, it's everything from the public network to to individual companies, to different verticals and industries, and then it permeates down to make people's lives better. There's a full total on vision that, whether you like it or not, you're going to buy into it, right? And I think that's much different to what you're saying, where people here are just looking at it as individuals. And so that's a much different outlook.
Well, I think more than that, I think it's their ability, like I mentioned earlier about this intelligence grid. And it's about taking the different silos. And if you're ever going to transform an industry or transform a country, I mean, we're pioneering this AI native nation.
Right.
And what starts with education from the residents and the citizens that we've got in the UAE, all the way through to the system that allows, I mentioned, the US UAE Stargate, we have a 5 gigawatt facility. We got 7,000 people in the desert right now building this 5 gigawatt facility, the largest facility on that side of the planet. On top of it, having a sovereign cloud that we don't have to worry about, our security and our data security as a nation, and then being able to actually now develop solutions and have these strategic partnerships like we've got between G42, Presight, and ADNOC, and being able to develop solutions where the data conversation, even Thrive this week, having several conversations with, the oil field service companies who, in my opinion, brings technology into the energy sector. And when I talk to them, all these aspirations of wanting to build AI products always are limited to the data that they can have. Whether it's operators saying that if you build something with my data, therefore, it becomes my product. And that's all, that's the limiting step where we don't have that, right? We've got access to all the data. We get to build our models. We get to train our models on data.
That's a big deal. I mean,
it's huge. I mean, we were talking about that last night, right? And until that hurdle is overcome, and until that mindset shifts, it's going to be very hard to take that leap forward and you're going to get left behind.
But real quick, why would it shift and why would it change here? Because they're motivated differently, right?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like there has to be a shift in the mindset that also shows the profitability, putting it into your business that makes it compelling enough to be able to share that. Because at the end of the day, that's the only way everybody's going to move forward. All boats got to rise, right?
But that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to offer the fact that we do have that data.
Well, that's my
build,
point.
Yeah. If you guys, if the market here wants to build AI models, we're there to help build them. Right?
This is the point. I don't feel like with respect to what you're saying, Richard, I don't think they ever get to that point where they have the collaboration to do it together. I think they're going to have to rely on an AIQ that has all the collective data that they can build it. You have to have the data set complete. And I mean, unless I'm visually misunderstanding what I'm saying.
But it also collectively also means the entire industry, right? When you can start to connect drilling and production data, when you can connect seismic information to drilling plants. I mean, it's actually going across even the industry silos and building models that actually serve the transformation aspect. I always tell folks it's like, you know, trying to solve the transportation problem as Uber and asking the taxi driver
for their opinion
or
help,
or
that
you know,
matter.
like what kind of digital services you need for your taxi. I think that's, you know, some of the things that, you know, companies, you know, that want to transform this industry need to be bold. They need to understand and really transform the industry.
Go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing.
You do. I want to hear it because I want to learn. I really do. I really want to learn.
I mean, you know, not to get in, you know, we don't want to get into the weeds. We want to keep it at that 100,000 foot level. But at the same time, like you can have models trained, but again, they're gonna come up to a limiting factor because even though you may use an AIQ model, you're still only gonna have a subset of that data, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what's making AIQ so efficient in the ADNOC, right? And ADNOC so efficient there, right? Because they don't have to worry about sharing that data; they have it. So their model is light years ahead of everything that you have here, right? So yes, you can take the model of how it works, but if you don't have the complete data set here, you're not going to get the same level of output that you do over there. Is what I'm saying. So that mindset does have to change. The model is going to be the best model that's out there, but if the data is still fully incomplete, you're still only going to get a portion of it.
Well, and even if things change, I mean, it's always, you know, the conversation that, you know, they have with Tesla, right? Elon talks about, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, he doesn't believe in IP and whatnot. Why? Because he's so far ahead when it comes to data and the way that the models are trained that anyone that starts today will have to catch up. And, you know, you can train that model for 10 years, but we're then 10 years ahead of that, too.
Yeah.
So what's the counter to what Richard just said then?
Which part?
The last part there. I mean, how do you change the mindset for what he's talking about?
I think that's like, again, it's as you said earlier. I think that motivations have to change, and it'll be interesting how that does. I don't see how, and I think that, you know, for us that is our opportunity.
Well,
right?
okay. So you've been here. You've been obviously you're in America on a regular basis for business dev and just what you need to be doing. What is the reception this week and in general for AIQ in the United States?
Well, Josh, I think when you think about it, man, again, to me, when it comes to the energy sector, right, technology was born by the oilfield service companies, right? I mean, they were the ones that developed all the technology that we utilize today. And when I think about technology in the energy sector in the last, let's say, 20 years, I mean, it's really right here in the United States. I mean, our ability to frac here in the United States, the technology, and when I walk around and, you know, I mean, let's not undermine the technology that's been created. When you think about, you know, machine learning, when you think about automation, and, you know, when you think about the oil and gas, I mean, it goes from manual mechanization, from mechanization to automation, and only after automation can you actually go to AI. I think when you think about the equipment here in the United States, I mean, the technology and the automation piece of it, I mean, they're light years ahead for many. So therefore, you know, I think that it's a ripe market to actually take that next leap into the AI world.
Right.
And, you know, from the automation piece. So the reception is actually, you know, quite it's been very positive.
I would imagine.
Right?
I think almost.
And I think, sorry, and I think that the key is to actually let them know who we are, because I think there's a lot of people that believe, we're ADNOC and we're not. We're an AIQ. We're a service provider in the AI space, and we are here to collaborate and build models together with, partners, whether it be the NOVs of the world, whether it, Halliburton's, and we want to collaborate. Our core business is building models.
So you're looking for service companies, capital equipment companies, doesn't matter.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, no one better than the oil field service, the folks that we've got here at Thrive today that know better what we need to do and how we implement AI to actually deliver transformation in the industry.
So as you're seeing, one of the things too that we see here in the U.S. in the industry, you see a lot of pilot programs that are very successful in proof of concept, but then they have a huge problem when it comes to scalability. How does the AIQ philosophy help to make that scalability more of a reality rather than the stumbling block that it is now?
I think there's several reasons for that, and I think that when it boils down to that data, right? I mean, a lot of pilot concepts start with physics models. I mean, the fact that we've got real-time data, we've got a customer that's willing to let us experiment, and we've got in the most literal sense the largest sandbox to play in. We've got offshore, we got onshore, we got land rigs, we got offshore rigs, we got all sorts of equipment and data to actually work off of. And we've been able to scale it. And when we see what we work, I mean, you think about, we're in now 25% of ADNOC's wells, we're in 20% of their reservoirs, we're in 100% of their drilling rigs with our models. And it continues to grow every day. I mean, and when you think about that, once you've built the model, there's a service aspect to this, right? Delivering. I mean, so we've had several meetings this week on how do we, as we, look at, we're starting to pilot here in the United States, and, deployment, how do we deploy, and, how do we service this market? So there's a whole aspect of scalability that we've done it. We've put, models offshore, onshore, across the desert in remote locations. So we're quite familiar with the ability to scale, and so we're excited about the United States.
I mean, we are too. I mean, Sakana and I the other night at dinner had an hour and a half conversation on how we can do that and help that, right? Because that implementation and those integrations are going to be what's key, right? And I think that's the part that's missing here in a lot of sense.
The human element is going to be so important for anything AI. I mean, and I think that when we look at kind of where the industry is today, I think there's going to be a lot of folks that they're going to be looking for things to do, and for us, we want to pick up a lot of that talent. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of subject matter experts that really really passionate about this industry, and we're looking for those folks too. So I mean, for the listeners that are listening to this podcast, if you want to go change the world and change the energy sector, we're looking for great people with great talent that have a vision on what technology can do to this industry.
Let me tell you something. If you've never been to the UAE, I honestly am waiting for somebody from the UAE to call me and be like, "Do you want to work for our tourism board?" I'm not kidding. Every time I go over there, I'm on a chat group with some buddies, and I mean, you should send these. You should see the obnoxious texts I'm sending. I'm like, "This is amazing. We got to buy a house here. It's incredible." I feel like you're in the future every time you go there. It's safe. It's clean. It's organized. It's nice. The food's great. It's just incredible.
And I've been there 20 years, Josh.
Yeah.
And to see the development and the speed, and I'm sure you've been there for a few years now.
Yeah.
Just seeing it change every time you come, right? I mean, it just continuously advances.
Well, I mean, let me just give a funny little tidbit of. You talk about the speed. So we were there in November, and we went back there in January, February, whatever it was, and we had some guests with us the second time. And said, "Hey, I want to take you guys to this restaurant. It's got a cool view of the Burj Khalifa. Great deal." We go there. It wasn't an easy way to get, so we had to walk through some tunnels or whatever to get there. And by the time we got there, I couldn't wait for the big reveal. And we turned the corner, and they've built a building. In 6 months. And they're like, what are you showing us? And I'm like, this wasn't here 6 months ago. And I was like, sorry, it was a great view of the Burj 6 months ago. Now they put up another skyscraper. And you're like, how in the world did they do that? Yeah. It's like they just get things done quickly. So one of the things you said last night at dinner, which I really, there's things that are said, and there's things that are said with conviction. Sometimes you hear them, you're like, oof, oh man, that's real. And it's like you said last night, you're meeting with some people, and they said something about, well, your models, we test our models, we do this, and you looked at the person, you said, hey, I'm not testing models. My models work. And the way you said it, it really hit me last night. This isn't theory anymore. Yeah. You're operating with proven reductions, proven fact, proven numbers, proven. Just tell me. You say we're at 25%, but what does that mean to people?
Well, I mean, again, like we've got all sorts of product, whether it's our smart eye CCTV cameras where we're actually putting models into cameras to actually make the oil field a safer place. Whether it's in a refinery or whether it's in retail, gas stations, right? We've got retail analytics around this. These models are built, and we just need people to tell us whether they could use them to save money or make money. It's not like in other situations where I think I've got this idea and this physics model, and if I could use your data to train my model, I actually can do it. No, we've done it. Like we've actually, and whether it's RoboWell, where we are optimizing gas lift, or whether it's our ESP management tool, which is Foresight, where we can predict almost down to the day, when an ESP will go down. And we are now taking it one step further, and going back to that smart eye, like it's great. One of the use cases is a man overboard. It's great that they can do that, but calling Coast Guard when that happens is when AI gets really interesting, and being able to combine them. We built these models, in all, the 5 different types of AI, right? Whether it's vision analytics, whether it's time series forecasting, whether it's machine learning or large language models or agentic workflows, like. When you start to pull together those different AI capabilities and actually, execute workflows, human workflows, I think that's where it gets super powerful.
I think one of the things too for some of our listeners, when you're talking about this, everything that's going on, especially all the things you just highlighted, a lot of the normal listeners here are going to think, how did they get there that fast? So maybe talk a little bit more too about the engine that's behind AIQ, because you guys are developing things at such a speed that is just unheard of over here.
The technology is moving so quickly, right? Again, it's when you look at some of the companies that are actually far advanced and have been playing around with this technology for some time. You ask those guys. You almost the ones that actually did it first are also the ones that starting to pull back and trying to question whether it's their core business or not.
Right.
And business models are changing, and we really need to get to a point where it helps everybody. And I think that to me is the most important part of this evolution, and it's evolving so quickly. You sit there and buy chips today, 6 months from now a new one comes up.
Yeah.
So and you buy one today and it doesn't have the capabilities for some of the other use cases that you've got on your edge box per se. We were playing with fiber optics, cables right now that's actually pulling a ton of data out of each well. And when you talk about thousands of wells, and you think about even where that's all going, and the ability to compute at the edge as opposed to computing in the cloud, I think there's a bunch of people trying to solve those problems, right? And so it depends on where you are in this journey, and it's moving very fast. The technology is moving quickly.
I always have to hold back on these conversations because I don't want to nerd out and then Josh gets lost. That level of compute.
I have an iPad.
I remember again. I remember when I first joined this thing. Right, I'm like, I don't know anything about AI. He said, don't worry, in 6 months you'll be caught up.
You'll be the pro.
He's like, no, because it changes so quick. Whatever you know today is actually irrelevant in probably 6 months anyway. So,
I'm sitting here looking at your website, and by the way, it's AIQintelligence.ai. And, the products that we're talking about, it's subsurface, it's production, asset integrity, HSE drilling, and agentic AI. Those are kind of the headline products. And then they go into different, so I kind of encourage everybody to go look at what he's actually talking about here. These are actionable things that we're all talking about, especially for North America. I don't see how North America doesn't want to implement this. Look, we're North American guys. We've been here our whole careers. We've done some international stuff, obviously, but I'm a frac guy at my core. in the world of frac is my favorite thing to talk about. If you want to, I could nerd out for fluid ends for 45 minutes. I love a good fluid end conversation. Yeah. But man, I'm not making money on fluid ends like I did 15 years ago. And, you know, I remember a guy telling me, Josh, if you can get me 900 hours on a fluid end, I'll give you all my business. Dude, where's that guy today? He's actually out of business. So the point is, like, the North American market, as great as it is from we've really done a great job. The production numbers are up, but the real value is going to come from extracting the value from what we already have. I'm looking at this going, this is exactly what they're looking for.
And that's just limited to the ones that we've productized, right? We've done over 200 of these. And we just happen to productize 14 of them right now. We've played around with products that ranges from the boardroom to the control room, right? I mean, we got a board advisor that actually listens to and actually advises.
I love this one. You've heard this one?
Yeah. You know, as a board member, and actually takes data from the organization, actually challenges the board on information.
That is such a cool idea.
And we've got things that go all the way down to, that's probably no different than the Google Glasses a couple of years ago, where it's way ahead of its time, and the expense to do it is still too high. But all that technology, all those expenses are dropping so quickly. And I think that when you get to the bottom of it, when it comes to AI, when all this technology goes away, I think everybody believes that they're going to be special, and no different than the ERP race in the early 2000s, where they say, you know what, if I build my own, I'm going to be different. We're not solving a bunch of infinite problems here, right? I mean, it's a very finite amount of problems. I think that it will eventually be commoditized. And when it does commoditize, whether it's the hardware, whether it's the software, it's going to get to a point where it's going to get to the price of energy, right? I mean, that's going to be your common denominator. It's the lowest cost of energy, and that's where we in the UAE
You think you're going to win there?
We're going to win, right? Because we're going to have the lowest cost of energy.
You literally have a sandbox,
right?
Full of oil.
Exactly. And so when we can power that, and we can support the world with the AI models, I think that again, the interesting conversation the other day I heard was, are the refineries the new is data centers the new refineries? Before, you take molecules and you turn them into fuel and chemicals, and tomorrow you're turning these molecules into electrons. Instead of pipelines, you're using cables. So is data centers the new refinery? And when you look at some of these service companies, they're starting to build data centers, and it's a pretty exciting space to be.
So back to when you look at, you said you've got 200 cases, right? So help us understand how do you guys decide what's commercially viable? Is it a commercially viable option that decides when you release things, or is it more of a use case? It could be at the end of the day, you want to help the world, but at the end of the day too, there's proprietary things that you guys are going to keep to yourself, correct?
Well, I think it ranges, right? I mean, I think that you got to think about AI. There are things that are proprietary to you or your company, and then you've got things that are commodity. And there's everything in between. And I think, you've got to ask yourself, what do you want to build yourself? What do you want to partner with? And so the way we actually, when it comes to the process, what started again as that bold vision in 2020, together with partnership with our customer ADNOC and shareholder, they wanted us to do all of it. And very quickly you realize it's a lot of good ideas. When you got 40,000 employees sending you their ideas on what we can do with AI, it is inundating. And so when we think about our mandate and actually building a business, what we did for our colleagues is, and we've got a division where it's actually an AI lab where we actually do work on proof of concepts, and we actually work with folks on it. So the way we think about it is, we filter through the ideas, we rapidly, quickly turn it around whether there is value in it. Is there a mark? Is there other products that actually fill that that need? And is it a commodity? If it's a commodity, go out there and just partner and buy that, or do you build it and commercialize it because it actually is very valuable? And then there's stuff that you want to keep, and our customers want to keep because it's what differentiates them, and we're good with all three of those, right? And so that's really when you think about that is really the decision tree that we use.
And then when one of the things too that we've got, obviously we focus on our energy sector because of our background, but we've got a lot of listeners that are in other verticals too. When you think about the impact that the developments that you guys are doing in other verticals, whether it's healthcare, whether it's retail, some of the other things that you've touched on, how does that, is it that same sort of prioritization process in there?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's some of these technologies and models are quite transferable, right? I mean, I love to talk about some of the technology we played with when it comes to seismic information that comes from medical technology that actually detects lung cancer in lungs, right? I mean, some of these technologies, you make that lung a little bit bigger, all of a sudden it's
amazing what that stuff is done.
Reservoir,
how
right?
quickly they find it,
right? And so there's transferable stuff, but again, going back to the speed in which this is all evolving, and what you need to do, I think the key for us is focus, and we're focused on the energy sector, and those are the problems we want to solve, and that's the partners we want to look for, and the acquisitions we want to make. We've got a lot of dry powder as well that we want to spend into developing AI technology for the energy sector.
Do you know why I got quiet just now and was writing this thing down?
No.
It's because I don't think it's fair for me to talk about AIQ anymore, because I feel like I'm turning into a commercial for these guys. I don't think that there's anybody. I just feel like you guys are about to dominate what you're going to do here. I really do. I feel like you guys are you're an unknown leader that's about to be known by everybody. And I don't think it's fair for me to bring somebody on and be like, everyone else is in trouble. Because these guys are about to dominate. Because you have all of, you have the resources needed, you have the capital needed, you have the intelligence needed, you have the models needed, you have you have a Dennis Jol, and I'm not trying to pump you up. You have the history of like the U.S. market and the friends that are needed and necessary to kind of do what you need to do. And you have a market that's dying to figure this out. So I went quiet. I'm like, Josh, you can't say this that I just did. So that's why I went quiet.
No, but
seriously.
But that being said, I mean, again, Josh, I mean, we're humbled, listening to that. But at the end of the day, the answers to the problems that we need to solve is sitting in these suites right here. The oil field service companies are who actually has, where we believe we're uniquely positioned is we're agnostic, right? We're agnostic, and we want to be able to arm the industry with AI, right? We want to build AI for all. We understand that there are, ideas and IP that our customers want to remain, for them, only for them, and we'll help them build that. There's others where we're happy to share in the IP that we can actually commercialize it together. And there's other pieces which not as interesting for us as the commodity piece, right?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, there are three themes that I think that does not change whatever technology does, and that is autonomous operations. I think that we want to get people away from the wellhead. I think that subsurface, we want to understand what we can't see in a far more accurate way. And then I think physical intelligence and the connection between the digital world and the physical world. I think those themes will continue to change and continue to thrive, and that's where we want to be focused.
See, we're disagreeing so much this morning, so it's an interesting podcast for everybody.
Okay. We're live.
I think we have a responsibility. It's not because I don't view it as a commercial.
Yeah.
I think we have a responsibility to be the megaphone to put them out there because people don't know it. And yes, we see they're about to blow up, but everybody else doesn't, and it's our job to educate everybody.
Well, this is why you're not going to get hired by Dubai Tourism Board like I am. Because
Abu
Dhabi Tourism Board. This is why you're not going to be up for that job like I am.
You're filming a commercial next week.
Yeah, we actually are. We're heading back over there next week. It is the theme of this whole week, as you can probably imagine, is you can feel it. I would think, Dennis, that good people find good people find good people. Good companies find good companies. The bad companies, we don't. First of all, we don't let them in this building anymore. This is our party. Yeah. We are throwing our party, and people. I'm looking down at Mark Amicus, is the guy that puts all this stuff together, and John Daniel and our whole group. We are very selective with who comes in. And there's people that don't like us, and I don't really care. I like velvet ropes.
We're honored to be here.
Well, no, yeah, well, thank you. I guess that was what I was looking for. But, but truly, it's ultimately like this is I want to only be around the good people that can, because these are our friends. These clients. We know these guys. And it is a matter of like finding out who can get the right solution in the hands of the right people that can do something with it and make the best and most impactful things. And I just, like I said, I feel like AIQ.
Especially in this space, because there are so many companies that are popping up every day.
Saying AI.
That have AI in their name.
Right.
That have a lot of smoke and mirrors that are not real. And again, that goes back to our responsibility into putting for our friends that are here to put the right companies, them in touch with the right companies that have the right technology, that have the right focus, and that can actually execute, right? So huge. Yeah.
What have we
Thank
not?
us. Thank us.
And if you look straight through here, you can see the big screen, which is kind of cool, right? You see David DeRote on there. You see Toby Rice. He spoke at the soiree.
Yep.
And Toby had never been to Dubai in Abu Dhabi before to ADNOC, and he came. He spoke with you on stage, which was awesome. And what was his comment afterwards? Like, do you want to share what he shared with you after that?
Like I said, I'll let him speak to that. But essentially, I think that whether it's Toby or others, I think that something special is happening in Abu Dhabi.
There you go.
Right?
That's essentially what he said. He goes, I can't believe I've missed this. This is not something I'm going to miss again. Yeah. There's a change happening, and it's in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and I think again, technology came from here, guys. There's no like accident why we're here and why we're focused on this marketplace. I think that what we can bring to the market and what we can bring to the and collaborate with the folks that actually have developed technology in the past. I think that they're again, we have what they're starving for, which is the data.
Yeah.
And we can definitely help.
So they give me notes that I'm supposed to read. I didn't read any of these things. I apologize. There's a lot of work that went into this from some people. By the way, your people are great. they really do a good job for us, Daniil and your whole team. Everybody, thank you guys. I'm sorry I didn't read these notes. There's so much work. Is there anything that I should have read that I didn't read that I need to tell people about?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I think. What, Richard?
I was just going to say, like we've done an excellent job educating people about who AIQ is. How do they get in touch with you? How do they get in touch with your team? How do they learn more?
Yeah, that's a good call.
About that.
Just call Josh Lowrey. I'll give you his mobile number.
That's right.
Just give Josh a call and no, again, like I said, we are. You can go straight to my email, dennis.jol, dennis.jol at aiqintelligence.
We're definitely going to delete that for your sake, just because we had David DeRote on a podcast one time, and David gave out his sat phone number one time, and I said, "What are you doing? What is that? $11 a minute?"
Well, that's why I didn't give the mobile number. It was an email.
We'll basically just find you on LinkedIn and go to the website. Yes.
We're quite active on all the social media as AIQ, but I get all the messages from the team.
Okay.
That gets filtered. Okay.
And also they'll find you at the soiree, Global Energy Soiree in November during ADPEC.
Yes, and whether just like we just spoke to some folks just now. Even if you're not interested in the international arena and you're focused around here, I think that when you want to be inspired, I suggest you visit ADPEC. We have 220,000 delegates coming to the UAE to discuss this energy and AI and the convergence of it. Two twin engines for human progress. I think that I encourage you to come, get inspired, and come back.
It is a trade show like you've never seen in your life.
Ever.
Just by comparison, OTC at its largest year ever was 120,000 people, and that was 2014. ADPEC is 225,000 people. It is a monster of a show. And by the way, you guys are great hosts there. AIQ you guys have the whole AI zone. And then, again, AIQ puts on the soiree, the AIQ Energy Soiree. Thank you for that as well. Well, it's going to be even better.
It hopefully gets better and better in every year.
Well, I'm not going to announce the companies that have signed on already, but I can promise you their Fortune 50s are in there now. The Fortune 100s where we had maybe one Fortune 500 last time. We've got the big ones coming in now.
Well, Josh, Richard, I mean, when you think about the relationship between the U.S. and the UAE right now, and when you think about technology and our shared vision of making sure that all our allies, are provided with the right energy, with the right technology, to progress in the future, I think that, this relationship's only getting stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that, what you guys have done, building this bridge between the U.S. and the UAE, I think is just the beginning. I think, we're in the early innings of AI and the relationship between the energy sector and the technology sector, and the UAE is where it intersects.
Well, I mean, we're incredible, and we know that, and it's going to be great, and we can't wait for it. So we're here for the show. Just let the tourism board know that at any moment I will quit my job and come hand out brochures. So,
same way you sell donuts and ice cream
by the
in
way,
the morning.
Shipley's turned me down. I told Shipley's is our donut, big donut chain here in the
kolaches, right?
They're famous in Texas, and kolaches and donuts. They're absolutely delicious, and I do some donut reviews, no big deal. And so then they decided they were going to roll out nationally. And I made a joke to them. I said, hey, look, I'll take off 6 months, and I will go nationwide with you and make my video review, kind of a one bite, everybody knows the rules. And they responded, they said, hey, we'll send you a t-shirt. And I said, ma'am, I don't need a t-shirt. I said, I'm willing to quit my job for 6 months to eat donuts with you. I'm like, don't send me a t-shirt. I was like, I don't think you know how crazy
But did you get the t-shirt?
No, I don't want a t-shirt. I want to quit my job and eat donuts.
Got the t-shirt.
He wanted all the free donuts
Yes.
at every location.
The t-shirt would only fit for a month till I outgrew it. So, well, Dennis, Jol, Richard, anything from you, buddy?
No, Dennis, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the partnership. We look forward to November. We look forward to seeing you grow. And again, just really appreciate everything.
Yeah.
And guys, congratulations on this conference. I know it's the 6th year.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Well, good.
This thing is
good timing. Mark Imicus is walking by right here. This is that's your guy right there. That is the best thing we've ever done, hiring that guy. Mark, get back over here. You're walking by. You take your kudos while we're giving them to you on air.
No, it's been an amazing experience, and I think that when I ask people what this is and go around, I think everyone gets something a little bit different out of it. For us, to close out, I think that if just a few more people know who AIQ is, and a few more people believe that you can be of assistance and help them lead in the technology stack that they actually create, I think we've
awesome.
Got everything, all the value we need out of it.
Well, you have partners here, you have friends here, and we appreciate your friendship and everything. So thank you, Dennis, and the whole AIQ family. Send our best back home to you guys, and thanks for just getting over here for us. So on that note, we're going to shut down the IT Crowd podcast. Thank you, Daniel Energy Partners, for letting us be a part of the whole week, and follow us on all our socials. If there's any compliments, send those to my email. I read those exclusively. If you have any complaints, send those to Richard. I don't read the negatives. I just delete. Actually, I don't even open them. So find us on our YouTube, our Instagram, all the social media channels. Richard, it's good to see you, buddy. Great job this week.
Great job.
And Upright Digital, thank you guys for hosting everything. Excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Done.